Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Build, Paint, Play. I'm Dave.
And I'm Jake.
Hello. hello. How's it going, Jake?
How's it going? It's going okay. It's another day, I guess.
Awesome. It's another Tuesday. Another Tuesday it is.
Yeah, low bar.
Oh, really? Come on.
I mean,
Come on.
potentially. No, it's good. I'm excited about this episode. I got to play my first game of 10th on Thursday.
Excellent.
So yeah, I was like, okay, we can talk about this. Perfect timing.
Excellent. Very cool. Hooray. Just looking in the chat, we've got Carl Tuttle here already. Well, this is exactly why I quit my job, so I can join live streams of Build, Paint, Play. Yay!
It's a solid plan.
That's what I call commitment. Not even Jake and I have quit our jobs to watch this.
Yeah.
Sorry. And Jim is here. Hey, Jim.
What's going on, Jim?
I think we've got a few other folks, so we will say hi to you all. Thank you for joining us. Yay! So yes, you got to play your first game of 10th edition?
Yeah, my buddy Dylan is back into the game. It's the first time he's played since probably 3rd or 4th edition.
Okay.
We kind of got him into it, and he decided he really liked the Mechanicus guys. So like at the tail end of 8th, kind of midpoint of 9th, he he bought a couple models, and then bought a couple more, and then bought a couple more kind of thing. And then he picked up when the Combat Patrol came out, he grabbed it. And then they did that holiday box,
Yep.
Whatever, the tech whatever of the Omnissiah, the big box.
Yep.
He grabbed that and then was like, okay, I'm at a point that I have like enough stuff that I really dig this. And we're like, okay, great. So I think he played like one game in 9th and then was like, oh, I'm gonna buy all this new stuff. And I was like, well, 10th is coming out in a couple of months. So I think he's played 2 or 3 games. It was fun. We just did Combat Patrol.
Cool.
So I was using the Crimson Fist I painted up.
Right. Oh, the nasty Space Marine Combat Patrol.
Dude, no joke. It is disgusting. It is such a rock hard list. It's definitely not my style of play because it's very slow and plodding. So it's like the Infernus Marines basically just want to sit on objective.
Yep.
Preferably in cover, and just never die, and they'll kill whatever that comes near them.
Yep.
The Terminators are great. If you deep strike them in, it's kind of the way to go. It was weird kind of seeing the changes that they made. Like I know in ninth, and they still come with the piece. They come with the new little teleport homer thing. Yep. So in the older editions, you deploy your Terminators, and when you do, you can drop the teleport homer anywhere in your deployment zone, and then at any point during the game, they can just move to the teleport homer.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, so I was deploying them. I was like, oh, so do I get to do this? And I was like, I can't find it in the books. And again, I don't have the data card, so I was using like the web app. Like I just took screen pictures of it and had it on my phone, and it's not in the rule book. So I was like, I guess they can't do that anymore. And so one of the other guys was like, oh yeah, they don't have that anymore. I was like, but they still make the teleport homer. And he's like, yeah, I think you're supposed to use that just to like dictate where they're going to come in, and then you can measure within whatever of that and put them down. And I was like, all right. But I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. That was a really cool ability. I like that. But so I guess that, again, until they put out the new codex, like, I don't know. But so I guess they lost that. I think the biggest thing I liked was the fact that the stratagems and stuff seem more like a game augment rather than, and I'm paraphrasing, a buddy of mine said this the other day, and I think it's a perfect way to say it.
Right.
He views them more as like a game augment than like a game necessity.
Okay. Yep.
Like in 8th and 9th, if you didn't know how to do your stratagems right, you couldn't win. Right. And in this, it's like there were two or three turns that I forgot to use stratagems, and it didn't really matter.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
But no, it's fun. I definitely like it. It seems a lot cleaner. It seems a little more stripped down. Again, I was asking Dylan a lot of questions because he'd already played a game. But again, as somebody who essentially hasn't played in, I don't know, years, I was like, what do you think? And he was like, I definitely feel like it seems easier to grasp than previous editions. And I was like, I think that's important. I think being able to have new players come in and not feel like they're like, oh, I have to read 700 pages. It's like, no, you got to read like that much of the book is like the core rules. Like that's it. So,
well. I will admit I went and purchased the core rules book.
Yep, it's awesome.
It's that big. It's tiny. It's the wonderful little book, and it still has
a little digest size.
Still has a little ribbon bookmark, so I can know exactly where I want to put it. So
when if you open that up, what's the first page of the mini rulebook?
Oh, well, that's the great thing is that, so like, you got the introduction, then you get core concepts, for example. Starts on page 5, so it's on, yeah.
So core concepts is next, which is the same in mine.
Yep.
Okay.
And so in yours, even though it's in the middle of the book, that'll be page 5, right?
Yeah, it's the same. Yep.
So. They're basically the same pages, just shrunk down.
Yeah, so what's the last page? I just want to see how much of this is actually... Does it have all the weapon abilities and stuff, I'm assuming?
Yeah. It goes
through
to mustering your army, mission... It goes through to page 60.
So does it have, like, example battlefields, aircraft?
Yep.
Is the last page... Is this the last page?
Yes. The only war mission. Page 60.
Yeah, so it stopped before combat patrol.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. No, but again, that's it.
It has the index in it.
That's awesome.
It has a rule index, which is nice. So yeah, but it's super exciting that like that's what I've got to take for when I'm playing my Leagues of Votann rules wise.
Yeah, that the only other real issue I had was the fact that like you can't get the data cards anymore.
Right.
I was like, really? Like I think if I'm being honest, I think the smartest thing that GW has done probably in the last, I don't know, 10 years or 15 years in terms of like asset stuff to having 40k data slates for all of your army is phenomenal. I think it is one of the best things they've ever done. For years, we've always said, you can buy the data cards for 40k, which are just like your psychic abilities and like your unit special rules. There's no...
And your stratagems.
Yeah, but like there's nothing that you need. Yep. And then like when you buy the Age of Sigmar, what are they? The War Scroll cards? Like those are great. And I was like, why don't these exist in 40k? And I'm glad that they finally came around and did them. But then they were like, oh yeah, sorry, we just printed them that one time. If you missed it, it was like... It's like a magic trick. It's like, oh, sorry, I can't divulge my secrets.
Yeah.
Like I like that you can download them and print them for free on demand, which is awesome. But like, I wanted them really, really nice. A buddy of mine works in an office and he's gonna print mine and laminate them, and I was like, that's awesome. I was like, but I would have happily paid GW how much were those? Like $20?
Well, these ones, I'm not sure. These are the nicely printed and laminated ones.
Oh, okay. Like
Guess I work in an office. So
right, but again, like I'm sure that you would have bought them if they were available. Like
yeah.
that was the only thing I was like, that seems a little weird that they like didn't print more of those.
Well, the strange thing is, like, I was quite happy to print and laminate those ones because there are like 30 cards total with for the, well, actually probably less than that for the Votan for like $18. But I much prefer to like buy the Space Marine ones because it's like 4,000 cards for $25.
Exactly. So I was like, I'm like, oh my god, I gotta find them. So yeah. I gotta track them down somewhere. Like I got the Blood Angels cards.
Right. You just need the Space Marines one.
Yeah, but I need the Space Marine ones, and I was like, are you kidding me? It's
just quickly. So we'll jump into the chat. Jeff is here. Hello, Jeff. Son of Horus is here. He's also here, so we can go ahead and get started.
Nice.
Obviously from a while back. Carl says if only there was a way to make money watching us too. For sure.
Carl, I'm having the same problem.
Yep.
If only there was a way to make money while we're doing this, that'd be great.
Yep. Patrick Keith says, hey fellas. Scott says, hey kids, I'm here for the Locana talk. Fantastic. Let's do none of that.
That's next week.
Next week? Fantastic.
Next week.
Awesome. Yeah. Jim says, win at all costs combat patrol. That's the Space Marine one.
It's pretty brutal.
Yep. Scott says, I haven't played since maybe 5th edition, 4th maybe, but 10th is the first edition I haven't bought. I passed the test. I shall diminish, fade, and sailing to the west.
You shall remain. You shall remain Scott.
You shall remain Scott. And just says, ooh, turquoise tank. Yep. I think you're talking about the Hecaton land fortress that's there. We've got some conversation about that coming up. Just says the base rules are super fast and considerably intuitive. Patrick Heath says, cool, I got a copy of the mini rulebook too. It's awesome. Carl says that small book plus Leviathan mission cards is the way to go. Huge Leviathan book is great, but not to cart around to games.
Yeah,
sure.
I agree.
Agreed. Yep. I'm lucky. I didn't have to pay for mine. I won mine in a bet. Oh, look at that. Where's mine?
It is beautiful though, I will say. It is a really nice looking rule book. It's
it is a great looking rule book for sure.
I think GW, I think one of their strengths is their rule books are always really nice.
Yeah.
Like I've played some other games where it's like, you know, a certain edition comes out and you're like, oh, like the binding is weird quality and the pages are strange. Like GW always does a good job with the quality of their rule books.
Yep.
Some of the organization and layout stuff could use some work, but like I think they do a really good job. And this is probably one of the prettiest ones I own. I still think my favorite rule book of all time is the 6th edition one. That was the first one that was full color. It's completely full color. Like fifth was full color, but 6th is oversized and has the library binding. It's a gorgeous rule book. Right. But ever since then, I think they've always done a really good job of just every edition comes out and it just looks cooler and looks sharper and.
Yep. For sure. Cool. Just looking back through there. Yeah, that's the only downside, Carl, of the small book.
It's just one mission. But like aren't the data cards all in there? Don't the cards have all the missions?
Probably. Yeah, so if you have that.
Oh yeah, but it's just the deployment, so there's no rules. Like it shows hammer and anvil. Right. But like there's no, and you're like, oh cool, I guess like that's our deployment. But like it doesn't tell you what you're supposed to be doing.
Isn't there a set of like primary objectives or that sort of thing?
So there's like Gambit, which is these are all the attacker ones.
Yep.
And then you get the Defender Gambits, which are blue.
Right.
And then you've got, what else you got in here? There's Mission Rules.
There you go.
There's a bunch of random ones. And then you get There's a lot of those. Okay, there's a ton of mission rules, and then you get secondary mission rules. There's a bunch of those. Secondary mission defender, secondary mission attacker.
Yep.
And then you get your little booklet of all the Leviathan missions, and then they give you a set of tokens, which is pretty rad.
Cool. Sweet.
So.
Excellent.
Yeah, if anybody still needs Leviathan books, we still have a couple left. So I sold two more. I sold 2 Leviathans today. I was like, oh, okay.
Josh says, now we just need a reaction phase or do something about I go, you go. Yeah. I think a reaction phase would be the way to go. And we'll see how... I think that was the initial intent of the stratagems, to have that interaction going on. But obviously that became super bloated. But now we're just going to see how they play out with the smaller quantity. Jim says, after trying to play a few games of 9th edition, I found it to be way too bloated rules-wise so far, playing the 40k Pizza Slam tournament this past Saturday at Alpha. After playing the 40k, yeah, I'll definitely be playing. Cool. Son of Horus, is the mini rulebook for sale separately, or does it only come in that one starter box? It is available separately.
It is available separately. It's at the moment I think we're sold out, but I should have more in probably this coming week or next week. Yeah. It's how much? What is it? $20 or something?
25.
Okay,
25.
It's nice. It's a little digest size.
Yep. Yeah. Carl says you can definitely get a physical representation of which model lines are supported by GW by looking at the thickness of your card pack. Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Oh, for sure.
Super cool. Oh, yeah. There we go. Carl's already said available separately. Real talk, though, says Scott, with the hype around Lorcana, how far away can a Disney miniatures game be? Gotta think that would move the money needle. Well,
dude, I don't think you're wrong. I think you could definitely do it.
But I was going to say, technically, we've got Marvel Crisis Protocol, Star Wars Legion, Shatterpoint, Armada, X-Wing. They're all technically Disney games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody in Disney needs to approve it.
But not a Disney miniatures game. There's
not a Disney characters miniatures game. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like the closest thing I think of is there's like Disney Villainous, which is a really cool board game that has like representational minis in it, but it's just like 1 or 2 pieces to keep track of stuff. It's not really a miniatures game.
Yep.
But
there we go. Oh, well, Josh says, Jake, Alpha Omega needs to start sponsoring the show and do a 10-10 split with an online order code. Something to think about.
We can totally do that. I mean, we're already sponsoring it. Like, go on the website and email me, and I will give you a code.
Cal says, Jake, has it started falling apart yet? This is talking about the rule books.
No, mine's in great shape. Like, and we have got a store copy that we've been using, and we used it. Jim was talking about the Pizza Slam we had.
Yep.
So the Pizza Slam is like this crazy 40k tournament that we do every couple of weeks, where the ownership, we all order a bunch of pizzas for the teams, and then whoever wins the first round gets to pick the first slice kind of thing. But we had our store copy out for the last couple of weeks doing tournament stuff, and it's still in good shape. We haven't had any issues.
Nope. Not you.
If you have a copy that's falling apart, both Dave and I will vouch for this as XGW guys.
Yep.
Their customer service is really good. I think if you called them and said, "Hey, my rule book's falling apart," they would have you send pictures, and they would probably just send you a replacement.
Yep.
Because I've never had an issue with my books, but
yeah. I know previously there have been issues. When I say previously, like 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But yeah. Hun?
James says didn't want to center the logo this time.
Oh yeah, just talk about the on the
offset.
pardon?
He said it's offset, so
I wasn't sure whether he's talking about that or if you have a close look at the word Warhammer on there.
Yeah.
The R pokes off the edge of the right-hand side there.
Yeah, they talked about that when they were doing the logo, unveiling for this.
Yeah.
And one of the art guys said that they did that deliberately. They wanted it to be
Yeah.
like offset, and I was like, okay. I mean, I don't have an issue with it, but
that gives it like the weighting balance is right the way that it is.
yeah.
It's just that little awkward But use. Oh my goodness, chat is going crazy. Awesome.
Apparently, Jim's having a problem with his binding of his rulebook as well.
Yep. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
Carl and Jim, like email customer service support.
Yep.
I think it's just customer service at GW PLC, and just be like, hey, I have a rulebook and it's falling apart, and
Yep. For sure. Scott says, no matter how much any GW box set costs, I've never felt ripped off. The quality of the books, minis, components, still top of the heap by a long shot. I stand by that statement now as a full-on Malifaux player and collector.
that's not real.
It's true. Excellent. GW rulebook for $25. What is this? The apocalypse? It is. It's the end times. Gotta get in quick. Excellent.
Son of Horse today. I like the I think 7th edition starter set where the rulebook, fluff, and art were in separate books. Yeah, it's the 7th edition rulebook. I have that.
Right.
It's
mine is.
It's pretty bonkers. That one is
just over there.
I think it's right here. Hang on, I think I got mine right here.
Look at it. Yours is so close. While he's gone. Oh man. Are you going to the other side of the room or the other side of the city? Oh, there we go.
That's at work. That's
okay.
At work. I have the I have the 7th edition Blood Angels Codex. That's the one that has the rules and the fluff are separated.
Yep. Excellent.
But yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I kind of like with it being all together. The only thing that kind of stinks is I think the smarter thing for them to do instead of doing this all the time is they should do a book that has and they already did it with this edition, right? Because there's the rule book and then there's the Crusade book. So if you didn't get this, this comes in 2 other books.
Right.
So you can buy the new rule book, which is basically it's basically this much of the rule book is the new core rule book,
right?
And then this is the Crusade book.
Okay.
If you buy them, because I sold one today, if you sell them separately, the new rule book is $65, and the Crusade book is $60.
Right. Wow.
Or you could just get the Leviathan book, which has all of it. But I think it'd be smarter to do like a 40K rule book, which is fine. And then I think the Crusade book is great. And then the mini rule book is fine.
Yep.
It's just a really weird layout. And if you're a new player, you're like, which one do I buy?
Right. Yep.
Like the core rule book makes the most sense. It's the core rule book.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, but if you want to travel around and play, you want the rules. You don't want the core rule book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It is an interesting way to tackle their rules.
Yeah.
Like scenario. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I have thoughts on it. I think I'm fine with them doing as many different books as they like, but I would like for them to say up front, here are all the different ways that we're going to make it available.
Yeah.
So right from the start, you can choose. I will go with this one. I will go with that one. I don't need the lore because I've been immersed in the lore for the last 30 years.
Right.
I didn't need to know Eldar. I bet you they're enigmatic.
Yeah. Ooh.
Enigmatic will appear in that section somewhere. So
I bet the Alpha Legion are sneaky.
They probably are.
You know what I mean? I'm with you. I don't feel bad about this.
Yep.
Because this came with Leviathan.
Yeah.
And we've talked about before, the sheer value of stuff in that box is crazy. I priced it out again for a kid the other day, and he was like, I don't know if I want to buy all this stuff. And I was like, are you planning on playing Space Marines? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, just to show you, I started taking boxes off the wall. And I was like, so here's a Redemptor Dread. It's the same cost as the Dreadnought that's in the box. Here's a box of Terminators. Here's a box of Hellblasters. You know what I mean? I piled up a whole bunch of stuff. And I was like, that's $450.
Right.
He's like, right. And I was like, that's in the box, plus another whole army of Tyranids that's worth about $480.
Right.
Plus this. I was like, you could take the Tyranids and throw them in the trash, and you're still
ahead,
paying less than half of what just the Marines cost.
Yeah.
So I was like, don't do that. You should give the Tyranids to a friend of yours or sell them or whatever.
Yep.
But the value is nuts. So the fact that I have to buy like the rules, like like you did, I don't feel bad about that because I'm like, oh yeah,
for sure.
this will look cool on my shelf,
Yep.
and this will sit around when I'm playing a game at home or at the store. But if I'm going to a tournament, I'm just taking the rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's rare that you'd be sitting at a table and somebody's like, "Here, the Elder Enigmatic," and you're like, "Hang on, let me look it up real quick, and you can read all about them."
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's essential, but
I think it might be.
sure.
That's good. Yeah. Excellent. Well, I'm gonna say I haven't played a game this past week, so a little bit disappointed in that. I know.
You played though, right?
I have played. Yeah, I played 10th.
Okay.
I played Combat Patrol, but I played against my Leagues of O10 against the Space Marines, which were that was pretty fierce. It was a crazy game. I know exactly what I would do differently next time. So
Okay.
yeah, but yeah, one thing I have been doing though is I've made quite a few purchases recently. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, I can see your little pile of dwarf off-road vehicles there.
My parking lot. Yep, for sure. I think
Scott has a great comment. That's phenomenal.
All right.
You know what I mean, Dave. One day I'll cry, Huey, Dewey, and Louie all charge Goofy. Prepare your soul and begin the incantations of lament. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, see that's probably why we won't get a Disney miniatures game. Probably why
They have a lot of really cool licenses that I think could work. Like they own the Horn King.
Oh, sure, the licenses, but we're not talking again. It may as well be Star Wars or Marvel or
Sure. Yeah, that's true.
It's if you want to talk core Disney,
Yeah.
you get that core Disney going on.
If they did like Fantasia, like you could have there's a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah, yep, that would be fun. Awesome. So, yes, sorry, just moving in there, or just as telling to send the nids to me. You can do that.
100%.
Carl says the one thing I will say about being immersed in the lore for the past 30 years is that they've been advancing the lore over the last few years, which they haven't done prior to 8th. This is true. They have been advancing the lore. Watching the recent episode of Independent Characters, where they talk a little bit about that. It is one of those things, though, where the advancing of the lore doesn't change the feel of the factions.
Yeah.
As such, Eldar are still enigmatic and almost all dead. The Blood Angels are still like hungry for blood, but they don't want to let anybody know that. So much, but so there aren't huge changes that are occurring. There's a lot of things that characters are doing to further cement the feel of the faction, I guess, is my feel there. Yes.
Scott and James have some good stuff there.
Yes. Scott says, Dave, all those minis in the foreground makes it look like you're sitting at the drummer from Russia's big old Lego drum kit. Originally, I was going to have them all over here, but then I thought it was going to take a long time to bring everything over, so I just park them all here instead.
And then James is even better. Dave putting out those during Scarface sitting with his mountain of nose candy vibes.
Yeah. Santa Claus, finally!
Oh my god.
Yep, after waiting for 6 months. Jonathan Belomo says, hey Dave, remember when we worked at GW and there were sales to celebrate store openings, but 2 box sets gets a third free, buy 2 blister packs and get the cheapest one free? Yes. I brought 3 languages. Yep, I absolutely remember that. I love working those. That was fantastic. I remember the GW Miranda grand opening. I was in a suburb of Sydney, a big mall down there. And my friend Glenn and Glenn Robinson, you know Glenn, Jake?
Yeah, I know Glenn.
Glenn and I stood behind the counter for 10 hours. We were just just doing sales like the whole time. So somebody would step up, would ring them up, take the money, would put all their stuff in a bag and send them out the door. And that was us for 10 hours straight. We didn't move. We didn't leave for lunch. We didn't go to the bathroom. We didn't any of that because we were just so like surged with adrenaline. We were just so hyped. And yeah, it wasn't until about like an hour before the store closed that somebody said, "Hey, do you guys want to take a break?" We're like, "Okay."
Was this was a store opening?
Yeah, store grand opening in like '96. But
Nice.
In the mall, they had to, all the mall security had to create rows back and forth with ropes and stanchions and that kind of thing. And there were people who were joining the line because they thought it looked fun. They had no idea what was at the front of the line, but they just stepped in. What are all these people doing? They're all really excited. There's lots of noise coming from the store. What's happening? And they finally got in, and it's like, "Oh, yeah, do you play this stuff? Have you seen this before?" And it's like, "No, we just saw the line and thought we'd come in." Okay.
Yeah, like, well, you know what? This is a fun place and it's interactive. Let me run you through a demo game.
There were no demo games those days. The demo tables, in the grand opening events, there were no demo games. It was just buying.
It was a huge thing in our store. Like the whole time we were there, because again, I got hired in like 2003, I think.
Okay.
So I remember one of the funniest things, and James worked with me. Like James will probably remember. I remember we were in a meeting one time, and John Matthews was telling us about how when he got hired, Games Workshop didn't talk to kids.
All right.
And he was saying, even a couple of years ago, again, this is 2003, so he was like, even a couple of years ago, he's like, the U.S. was the first market to start talking to kids. Right. He goes, because if you went in, let's say Dave goes into a store, and you've got your nephew with you, and your nephew's 12 or 13, they're not even going to talk to him. They just talk to you.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, that's wild. He's like, yeah, he's like, the U.S. business was the first business to start talking to kids. He's like, and then everybody realized, like, oh, like their numbers are up, and it seems like, there's a young community that likes this. Because it was, before it was for adults. And I had a buddy of mine who was playing, and he said he remembered that. I was like, really? He's like, I remember going to a store with my uncle, and he's like, and I really liked Space Marines, and my uncle like was a casual fan of the game, and we went in, and my uncle said, oh, we're looking for a Land Raider, and kind of gestured towards me, and they just talked to my uncle.
Right.
They're like, oh yeah, they're right over here, sir. Like, here are the Land Raiders. Like, he's like, it was like I was invisible. I was like, that's crazy, but
that is weird. That's weird. Yeah. Excellent. Sorry, Carl says, okay, fine. Although, you're wrong about the Aldari. They are now more almost dead. My favorite kind of Aldari. But yes. Just as I remember reading about those deals in White Dwarf. We only had a friendly local game store, and those were 80 miles away. Would have loved to have seen those sales. Carl says, favorite times of the Jittery product line was when Apocalypse first came out, and you can get those boxes of multiple tanks.
Oh god, yeah, the tank squadrons.
Yep.
Those squadron boxes are nuts.
Yeah, I still have 2 boxes of the Lehman Russ platoons over there.
Is it the platoon or is it the spearhead?
I don't know. I'm not sure what it's called, but there's 10 tanks in each box. It's ridiculous.
That's absolutely ridiculous. Wait, and you have 2 of them? So you have 20 Lehman Russes that are just like in a box.
Well, 2 boxes.
Sorry. Yeah, you have 2 boxes of 10 Lehman Russes each.
Yes.
Ridiculous.
Yes. I like my Imperial.
Yeah, see, James gets it. Excitement breeds excitement. Or I believe it was activity breeds excitement. And then he wrote, DW found out that their biggest spenders are moms in their late 30s and early 40s buying for their kids. Yeah, I mean, we had the whole thing. It was what? It was a beginner. It was non-players, which were prospective players. And then you had beginning players, core players, and then veteran players.
Yeah. Dave Hummel says demo games. Twitch.
Yeah, oh, dude. I think we've all run it. We've all run a million of them.
Yep, exactly. Fantastic. Josh says, Josh, that's 22. There we go. He didn't one up me. He 2-upped me. Good for Josh.
Ridiculous.
All good. Okay, we're going to take a quick look at some photos and talk about some things that some folks in the Facebook group brought up about 40K. First up...
Hey, what do we got?
What do we got? There we go. First up, actually, before we go any further, I'm just going to show... Here it is. Here's a lovely photo from inside Alpha Omega Hobbies. Fantastic. It's a photo of the paint area, and on the left there is the new release rack, I think. So you got the Leviathan box set. So this is one that Ray took when he came in.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I just redid the new release rack today, so it looks a little different, but
Right. Cool.
yeah, same rack. Yeah, so the paint rack on the right there,
Yep.
that's the Duncan Rhodes Too Thin Coats,
Okay.
and then I've got a
Oh,
Leviathan box sitting up against it,
Yep.
and then that's the Citadel rack straight ahead. We have the full range, which is why we have two racks. So, and then along that whole wall going to the left, you've got paint racks, and then the new release rack, and then that whole wall continues another, I don't know, 40 or 50 feet, and it's all GW.
Yep. Excellent. Carl said, does Alpha Omega Hobbies ever really look that clean and organized?
Every day.
Every day. It's because nobody goes there, Carl. Nobody
Please.
goes there.
I would not be here talking to you. I'd be in bankruptcy court if that was the case.
Yep. Fantastic. Okay, we're going to move on. We've got a couple of photos here from John Schaefer. John Schaefer played a game recently. It was his Orcs versus Thousand Suns, which would have been a fairly interesting game. I'm dreading playing against the Terminators, the Scarab Occult Terminators.
Yeah. Oh, dude, they're so pretty. All the specialized, all like the specialized Terminators, I think look super cool. Like the Death Shroud Terminators, I think look super rad, and the Scarab Occult ones look really cool. I also like the.
You were going to say the Red Butchers, but the Red Butchers don't exist.
No, not the Red Butchers. The Dark Angels, like specialized ones that have like the robes and like the flails and stuff. Like
Oh, the Knights.
I think, like those guys look super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always have a soft spot for the Thousand Suns. I think like the pharaonic like headdresses and stuff look super cool, and
Yeah. No, they definitely do look good. John said that based on his few games, that amusingly enough, he uses the line stratagems. He enjoys stratagems being an augment and not game defining.
yeah. So full credit to Schaefer for that, because like I agreed with him. Like when I played, I was like, oh, I like this, because in 8th and 9th, like I said, it's such a huge chunk of your like mental resources to remember. Oh, after Dave does that thing, I'm gonna do this thing, and I'm gonna spend my points on this other thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you missed it, I was like, oh, like there's no way I can catch you.
Yeah.
And in this, it felt more like it's like toppings on your hot dog. It's like, I want the hot dog.
Yep.
Like what's on it, like that's up to you. But it felt less. It felt less like essential.
Sure. Yeah.
So
I would agree. Helpful, but not game breaking. John also enjoyed the objective control interactions and the things that can modify it, things that adjust it, stratagems, battle shock, all those sort of things that can affect your objective control. Things he is a little concerned about. I guess that's the way we'll put it. We'll put like things they're excited about, things people are concerned about. Things he was concerned about were the potential for abuses with interactions between indirect fire, line of sight, and cover. So
yeah, I can see that, because there's a bunch of weird stuff where it's like, oh, you can't target these guys ever, and it's like, okay, cool, unless you have indirect fire, and which ignores that rule. Like that was a little weird to me. There's also some other like strange interactions that aren't explained super well. So if, let's say I have Howling Banshees to talk about the Dying Eldari, and they have the rule always fights first.
Right.
if you charge me, when you charge, it gives whatever unit is charging always fights first.
Right.
So I had one judge tell me, this was like a couple weeks ago, we were doing a tournament, and a kid asked me, and I was like, I don't know, let me get one of the tournament judges. So one of the judges said that if you charge a unit that has always fights first, the unit that has always fights first strikes first. And I was like, but I'm charging, I have priority. He's like, right, but your unit doesn't have always fights first. It gains it because of the charge.
Right.
And I was like, are you sure? And then another judge was like, no. He's like, the only time that matters is if it's second priority. And I was like, what? So I'm still not sure which way it works. But the kid who was there over the weekend was like, no, if you charge on your turn, your stuff all goes first. And then as soon as it's past priority, any opposing units that have always fights first go next. And then you get to pick after that what happens.
Right.
I was like, okay. Like, that seemed more reasonable, but it was just really, that was a little, I was like, that seems really confusing that it's worded like that. But
yeah, there's a couple of things that might be a little bit hazy, but he did, so John mentioned free upgrades, and I have a thought on those. I'm not sure if I should bring it up here or when we get to Jim's stuff a little bit later. We might do it then, because it could be a little bit funnier. But here's another cool shot of John's game, Thousand Suns and Orcs. I'm also going to point out the cool can terrain.
We have some of that.
So
we have some really simple versions of that. I like that, though.
Yep. So that one's from... did I... Oh, no, I didn't even move it over. But yeah, there's that big 4-can one. There's a 2-can one.
Yeah.
John's got a bunch of it.
There's a 1-can one.
Yep. We've got another one coming up in this next shot. But yeah, those are from Ironheart Artisans. So I'll give them a shout out.
Yeah, I like those. Those are cool.
Definitely cool MDF kits. I got a couple of those. Next up. Okay, yep. Next up, we've got the Hecaton Land Fortress. Yay! It's this one. Check it out. I was super excited that I was able to pick these up. I got 2 from Jake, who got them in... When did you get them in? Last Saturday? No.
Yeah, they're all gone.
Yeah. Oh, no, for sure. Well, I bought half of them, so...
Yeah.
And there was the one that I got from my trip to Iceland. So now I have 3 Sagittars. I went and bought the Hecaton Land Fortress from a local Facebook Marketplace sale. And now I have my parking lot for my Votan. I just have to paint them all. So that's my next job.
The little one can carry 5 guys. How many can the big one carry?
12, I think. So, yep. You can't. I don't think in either of them you can carry the suits, like the exo frames.
Okay.
For the Brock here. But yeah, so you could put like. Oh, I have to go back and
really,
check.
you don't. I bet you can. I bet they're like Terminators. I bet they count as bulky, so they eat up 2. So you can probably put 6 of them in the Hecaton Land Fortress.
I have my handy cards here. Oh, wow. Okay, I am wrong. Yeah, it must have been the Sagittar I was thinking. There we go. Each Exo Armor model takes up space of 2 models. No, Exo Armor is 2 models, and so that's the Hearthguard on here, Hearthguard. Yep. And the Exo Frame takes up space of 3 models.
So they're like the Centurions, like Space Marine Centurions is the same way. Terminators take up 2, Jump Troopers take up 2, Centurions take up 3.
Yep.
So still, you could.
The Sagittar can't take the Exo Armor or the Exo Frames. Yep.
But the Hecaton can. So you could put 4 of the Exo Frames in it, or you could put 6 of the battlesuit dudes.
Yeah. Yep. Well, one of the things that's kind of frustrating is that running the Brock here, Ironmaster.
Yep.
With the Brock here Thunderkin is a good idea. But 9, his unit is 5, so it's him plus 4, like servo buddies.
Right.
So 5 plus 9, it's 14. They can't fit in one.
Can you have to run the unit at 9, or could you run it at 7?
Well, no, it's 3 guys is the minimum
Oh,
size.
okay, right,
3 or
okay.
6 for the Thunderkin. So it's kind of an odd one. Again, it's something that they might shake out when the codex rolls around, but I guess we'll see.
Or you put all of them in the Land Fortress, and you put him by himself in Sagittor.
Well, then you can move him around, but you can't later attach him.
Oh, right.
He has the bonus. The unit that he's with gets like +1 to hit. So.
That's a little weird.
But yeah.
Scott goes, Stroll looks great, Jake. By the way, when are the Vallejo game color paints coming? Answer, never. They're never coming.
Yes. Scott also said,
Yeah, you're probably right.
Jake 1, Dave 0, learn your army, noob.
Yeah.
So yes, I will.
Yeah, James is definitely right. Knights do feel different. Like they.
Yeah.
I'm
curious.
I think
to play them.
I think they hit super hard. I think they're a really rock solid list, which is great. The problem is that so many of the new missions are objective based, and you just don't have enough models with knights to do anything. So, like, I watched a kid play the other day. He was running a really numbers heavy Space Marine list, so almost no vehicles, almost no dreadnoughts. I think he had like 1, and it was lots of infantry. And he was playing against a small knight list. So the knight player had 2 knights and then 2 armigers or 3 armigers.
Yeah.
And on the knight player got to go first. He did Oath of Moment on the armiger squad, and in the first turn had his whole army shoot at the armigers and killed 2 of the armigers. And then during his movement phase, he took 3 objectives and then passed the turn. And then the knight player moved up, killed a whole bunch of stuff, was able to take 1 objective. So at the end of the next round, the Space Marine player was winning 15-5 because he had all the objectives. Like, every turn, the knight was going to kill a whole bunch of his guys, but he just couldn't catch up on objectives. So that's the problem they run into. They have to win wholesale, otherwise they can't win.
Yeah. I was going to throw in, they're talking about knights, tank shock. As far as not so much an augmenting, but maybe a game-changing use of a stratagem. So, tank shock is until the end of the phase. So you. In your charge phase, 1 vehicle unit from your army. Till the end of the phase, after your unit ends a charge move, select 1 enemy unit within engagement range, then select 1 melee weapon your unit is equipped with. Roll a number of d6 equal to that weapon's strength characteristic. Let's say, for example, the Cerastus Knight Lancer, just released, has a strength characteristic of 20.
Yep.
So you'd roll 20 d6. If that strength characteristic is greater than the enemy unit's toughness, add 2 dice. Oh, no, sorry, roll 2 more. 2 additional d6. So you'd roll 22 dice. For each 5 or 6, that enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. To a maximum of 6, but...
No, I mean, I think that's definitely a good one, but, how you avoid that is you put them in terrain. And then you can't do that. Like, if they're in, a ruined building...
Yeah.
Or if they're in a building or a bunker, you can't tank shock them because you can't drive over them. Like, they're in a building.
Well, it just means you just have to get in engagement range. Is how that works. So if you can fight, if you can fight them,
doesn't have to be a valid target for tank shock though.
It's a charge. It's a valid target for a charge. So that's what a tank shock is after you're charged. Yeah. So it can be super nasty.
No, for sure. I can definitely see it through red. Like, if you're playing at Space Marines, that's where when you start the game, you're like, Oath of Moment on the Cerastus Knight. I'm gonna have my whole army wipe that thing out.
Yeah, that's fair. Focus on that. It'll be all good.
That Oath of Moment is no joke. It's so good. It's such a good ability.
It is a good one for sure. We're gonna move along to next up. Josh Potter is painting up some Tyranids. We've got this shot.
Your Hackathon looks great, by the way, Dave. I didn't want to let that go by without mentioning that. It looks awesome.
I am super happy with it. It's really nice. I need to now paint the rest of these guys to match it. But yes, Josh has some Tyranids on the painting table. This is one that he's working on here. He's getting very arty for his work in progress photos. We're getting little tight snippets of them, but they're looking good. Josh said that the free core rules and free card PDFs has him re-engaged because downloading doesn't cost anything, and it's just going to take a little bit of time to look over it. It's a great way to get people to potentially look back at it, check out 40K again. But he also said, "Oh, sorry."
I was going to say, I would say as a Tyranny player, the smart move is just buy Leviathan. like if you're a Necron player, I get it.
For reasons already discussed.
Yeah,
yeah, okay,
right.
Cool. But he also said that the Horus Heresy, a recent Horus Heresy purchase, has allowed for that reconnection. So he obviously has some more Space Marines that he can try and find the right place to put them in.
Nice.
Cool.
I like the blues.
Yep. Yeah, they're looking good there. Josh did mention that that the white primer came out a little bit fuzzy. A matte primer. It's always a tough one to get. Sometimes you're going to get that slight fuzziness, but because it's matte, you're always going to get a bit of a grain to it. If you can avoid
a big one too. Yeah, a big one too. I was going to say if you are using a cardboard box or something as like a backsplash, you'll get this way more often because what'll happen is the propellant will push the pigment pellets or pigment droplets at the model. Some of them will bounce off of the back of the cardboard and they'll be floating in the air, and then the stream of paint you're putting on it catches it and sticks it onto the model.
Right.
So they'll be kind of like grainy and gritty looking. I always try to either prime on top of something, so I'll put them on top of a cardboard box outside, and I'll spray across so I'm not bouncing paint off the box.
Right.
Or I'll use like a stick or something and spray them on the stick.
Right.
You're always going to get a better result doing that than letting the paint bounce around.
Yep. I was also going to say that White Scar from GW, it has a much more of a satin finish, so less likely to get that graininess going on. But yes, looking at just quickly in the chat, catching up there. Sorry, this is a base from Josh's Tyranid Hive Tyrant as well. Okay. Oh, Josh says, this touches on a minor quibble with the index cards. It may have changed, but things come in 5, 10, and 20 unit sizes and no points. No points on the cards is so that they can change them whenever they need to without having to reprint the cards.
Right.
But yeah, Josh, this edition seems very much like they're going with that. You get basically the multiple of the box, whatever's in the box. Is it 10 in the box?
I will say
the
GW, like the app.
Yep.
I forget what it's called, Battle something. Like their app is really good. It has all your unit layouts and all the rules and all the updates and stuff. It's free. So
well, at the moment it's free. I think they've announced that it's going to be part of the Warhammer Plus subscription.
Okay.
Yep. So Jim said, did he play tactical or fixed secondaries? Let's talk about the night game.
I don't remember. It was like I wasn't playing. I was just watching it. I believe like they had secondaries, but the secondaries are random, and I think he had a secondary that wasn't helping him. Like he couldn't achieve it unless he killed like a certain number of units or something. But
yep, cool. And Scott and Sean, as Josh are talking about airbrushing. Sean says hello. But yes, just like in AOS, where the points values are separate. Hecaton's sliding off.
Yeah, I see it kind of inching over. Like he totally just like T-boned that other one.
I know.
His insurance is gonna go through the roof.
He's gonna see if he can put his railgun through there. But anyway, yes. There we go. Next up, we had okay. Well, let's quickly show Cliff's stomping Death Dread.
Oh yeah, he's already got it mostly painted up now too.
Yeah. I've got a picture of it almost fully painted. But yeah, looking good there, Cliff. Super cool. So many claws and saws. That thing just wants to hug you. I'd be a little bit worried about it coming up against my Hecaton Land Fortress. And the great thing as well is, I think it counts as a vehicle. So it would be...
Death Dread?
Death Dread, yeah.
Did they? Then is there no? There's no like walker subclass anymore.
I don't think so. I think generally it behaves like a regular, like infantry unit, but I think it also has the vehicle keyword.
Okay.
I could be wrong. You need to check it for me. But yeah, Josh says I love this Death Dread.
Yeah, it's great. Cliff did a good job with it. He's very animated looking.
Yeah, for sure. But while we've got this up on the screen, I'll mention James LaCour talked about on the Facebook group. He feels overall more good than bad, which is always a good thing. The things he's concerned about are towering, the towering keyword, which I think is going to be a knight issue. I must admit, I haven't looked at the towering keyword yet.
I will look it up. Let's look it up. What page are we on?
Where are we going to find it? Going to the index. It's going to be in special rules, right?
Probably. What page am I looking at?
I don't know. What page are we looking at? It's not in the core rules. It's going to be in vehicles. Vehicle keywords.
Maybe.
Keywords.
Transport.
I should be looking at keywords, shouldn't I? I'll be looking in the index for keywords. I'm not going to say it's a super comprehensive index, but... Oh, keywords is not even in there. Oh, well. Somebody can tell us. Aircraft.
I don't know.
Separate battlefields.
Consolidate.
Strategic reserves. I need to look that up. Data sheets. Consolidate. Fight. Fight phase.
Is it? It's not in the index.
No, I couldn't find it in the index. Not particularly helpful. Jim can let us know. But he also this was the thing I found amusing, was he was concerned by the power levels disguised as points. So I was like, we're not going to have power levels anymore. We're just going to have points. They're all going to be like 3-digit values that kind of closely resemble power levels. Yes. Towering... Oh, here we go. Sorry, just quickly, Jim said, towering units like Imperial Knights can be seen over ruins, irrespective of physical line of sight, as was the case in 9th edition, and can also themselves see over ruins.
Oh, so no, so he misspoke in the second thing. So it's basically like you can always see them, and they can always see you.
Right, okay. Yeah,
they ignore line of sight. Like, which to be fair, like... That's fine. You know what I mean? Like, if they had made it one or the other, I think it would have been way worse.
I don't know. And the it's that if you're going to have true line of sight for everything else and then just break it for one thing, feels a little bit odd to me.
Yeah, I mean, I can see having it ignore like levels of terrain.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you were like, okay, anything that's not at least level 3,
yeah,
you can see knights as if it wasn't there, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But if it's level 3 or higher, you cannot. Like, that makes more sense because knights are big.
Yep.
But they're not like titans.
Right. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, if they wanted to give the towering rules to something like the Stompa, I'd be like, okay. The Stompa is supposed to be a light titan, basically. Like, I'd be like, yep, okay. You can see it. You can always see it. Like, that makes sense. But for, like, knights and stuff, I don't know. I don't think that's worth it. Like, I remember they did that in one of the editions remember the fly keyword?
Yep.
So there was a weird period in time where the Tau hover tanks and the Eldar hover tanks had the fly keyword, which meant that you could always see them. And I was like, that seems really dumb because, like, you just blow them out of the sky, and then they change it so they have
pop-up. So when they move, they count as having fly.
Right.
So then it was on my turn, they could fly and go wherever, but when you're shooting at them, they are, like, on the ground.
Yeah. Yep. They've
Yeah, like,
leapfrog.
Yeah, I was like, that makes more sense. So I'm sure that they'll fix this rule. If people don't like it and if it's throwing the playoff, like, I think it'll be fine.
Yep.
I do understand why they need to use it.
Yep.
In some events, because it's like, okay, so if I have a bunch of guardsmen or Kroot or something, and they're all huddling behind buildings so that you can't see them, the knight player basically has to, like, come stomping across the board and get up close to see them.
Yep.
But at the same time, like, you then can't shoot at the knight until it's on top of you, which seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
So...
For sure. I know what you're saying. I get that. It's just going to... it would adjust the types of knights that you would take.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. But getting back to the power levels disguised at points, and this also going back to John Schaefer's free upgrades concern, it really gives me the... I really get the feeling that because they have... well, there are some units that have quite a few options. I'm going to use the Sagittors as the example here. So the Sagittor comes equipped with the high-las beam cannon, which is 2 shots, strength 12, minus 3 AP, D6 damage. Right? It has sustained hits D3. So if you get super lucky, you might get 8 shots out of it. If you roll like 2 6s and then 2 more 6s. But chances are you're going to end up around the 2 or 3 shots, right? You can change that for no additional points cost for the L7 missile launcher and the Sagittor missile launcher, which is, it's the same model piece, but different looking missiles, right? So it's the same thing. It sits on there. Where one of them, so the Sagittor missile launcher gives you 2 shots at 36-inch range instead of 24-inch range. 2 shots, strength 12, minus 3, 3 damage. So it's fixed damage, not potential 6, not potential 1. And then you also get the other missile launcher shot, which is 1 shot, strength 9, minus 2 AP, D6 damage. So you're getting more shots, doing generally, on average, more damage, but it's the same value.
Is there any reason you would ever take the other one?
I don't know. I don't think there is.
That's the big thing, right? And I hear some people complain about this stuff, and I'm always like, look, having stuff that's better or an upgrade makes sense, right? Like one of my favorite things of all time is people are always like, "Oh, Space Marines get all these free upgrades," and I'm like, they're supposed to be super soldiers. Like the fact that they come with a pistol and a combat knife and a bolter and both kinds of grenades for free, they should absolutely come with that stuff.
Yep.
And then they're like, "Oh, so you're going to take your Terminator and upgrade with lightning claws? You don't have to pay for that?" I was like, yeah, because it's a totally different loadout than a Power Fist and a Stormbolter. Like, they're both good. They're just good at different things. Like, so I have less of a problem with that being a free upgrade.
Sure.
Like, but yeah, stuff like that. If you're like, okay, this gun sucks and this gun is really good, yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
If it's a specialization thing, like
in this case, it was like this gun's really good and this gun's like even better. It's also really good. Plus, it has another shot.
Right.
And then there's the other one, which is like, you get more shots, it's weaker, lower AP, lower damage. So you'd never really take that. Which makes me think that when we get codexes, that we will get points variations back. It won't be, everything's free.
Yeah, I mean,
this feels
possible.
This feels a bit like a stopgap measure, so we don't have to go through and work out all the points right now. Let's just make everything free, and then as we go through and we see what people are playing with and what's working well and what isn't, then we'll be able to adjust. We'll be able to create that points variation. That's my prediction. It's just me predicting.
Yeah, like
that's
like
the
I'm
way it's
looking
gonna
at
go.
I'm looking at the what is this? I'm looking at the Imperial Guard or Astra Militarum Heavy Weapon Squad.
Right.
So it basically just says you get 3 heavy weapon teams.
Yep.
Each model is equipped with a heavy bolter, last small arms, and weapons team close combat weapons.
Yep.
And then if it's free upgrades, you can swap out the heavy bolter for an autocannon, or a missile launcher, or a mortar, or a last cannon.
Yep.
Now, as somebody who's played guard, and I know you have as well, they do radically different things. Like if I know I'm playing against a Tyranid player or orcs, I'm probably gonna do heavy bolters.
Yep.
But if I'm playing against like a bunch of knights, they're all getting upgraded to last cannons.
Right.
So I have less of an issue with that because they're all good at certain things.
Sure.
Or like Devastators.
Except for mortars.
is another-
Mortars are always terrible. It doesn't matter what edition it is. Mortars are terrible.
No, not in this, because now they've got, in the current edition, they've got Blast, which means if you're shooting at a unit that has more than 5 models, you roll 2 additional dice, and that's for every 5 models in the unit.
Yep.
So that's awesome. They have Indirect Fire, which is super rad. So if I'm fighting against like Tyranids and you have a unit of 20 Gaunts,
Yep.
I get to roll, 6 extra dice,
Yep.
and I don't need direct line of sight, which is crazy.
Right. Yeah.
And they're...
I bet you it's still strength 3, like half damage. Something
Nope,
like that.
they
Half
are...
20 damage.
They are strength 5, damage 1. There's no AP, and each one of them gets D6 shots.
Wow.
So, again, if you're shooting at like a big unit of boys or
Yep.
Tyranids or something, it would be D6
Plus 6.
plus 2 for every 5 models.
Yep.
So, I mean, again, like that's
plus-
pretty good.
Yeah. Yep. That is crazy. Crazy.
But I'm with you. I mean, I don't have a problem with upgrades being free. I have less of an issue with that than a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, you're right. I think as we get like the new codexes and stuff, I think you'll see all that stuff kind of get resolved.
And I think one of the other things that we'll see is, and this is one I'm less sure about, is because we've seen a lot of things like, actually here with the, let me find them. Good thing there aren't a lot of cards to sort through. Of course, it's going to be the last one I get to.
Yep.
There we go. Hearthkin Warriors. So the Thane, the leader, can replace his bolter or iron blaster with a kin melee weapon, which is either... So previously it would have been a plasma sword or a plasma axe or a concussion gauntlet.
Yeah,
Which did
I mean,
three
I know
different
that...
things. This is one stat line, which is strength 5.
So we were talking about that the other day. Like one of the biggest units that got nerfed, and I hate using that term. I apologize, but
Yeah,
one of the units that a lot of people were complaining about was
concerned about. A lot of people are concerned about. Anyway, keep
sure. Yeah, a lot of concern I've heard is, and the 2 units that keep popping up all the time is either Chaos Terminators or Space Marine Stern Guard veterans. So not the assault dudes. Although the assault guys kind of got this as well. So the new thing that they have now is they have they're called like honor weapons or like relic weapons.
Yep.
So before you could be like, I'm gonna give this guy a hammer or this guy an axe, so he gets +1 strength and +1 AP, or I'm gonna give this guy a power sword, which gives him an extra attack, or I'm gonna give this guy a maul, which means that if he hits you with it, like your initiative gets knocked down to 1 or whatever. And now they're like, nope, they all have like artifice weapons, and you're like, okay, what does that do? They have +2 strength, they do 2 damage. You're like, okay, so it doesn't matter what you model them with, that's what they have. And I was like, okay. And then Chaos Terminators get the same thing. Like before, you used to be able to give them, their combi bolter.
Yep.
And then you would give them either like an axe or like a claw or like a halberd or like the power fist. And now they have like, I think they're like cursed weapons.
Yep.
And then they get like the whatever the bolter equivalent of it is.
Yep.
And this guy was like talking about it. I was like, I understand why they did it though. They did it so that when your Terminators move up and shoot at me, I don't have to wait 30 minutes while you figure out which guy has what weapon
And you're like, okay, here's the one Melta guy. Okay, here's the 2 plasma dudes. Here's the I was like, it's so they shoot. You have this many guys, and then when they attack, it's the same thing. You have 5 Terminators. They all get this many attacks. So like, I get it, and I understand where they're coming from, but I also understand the reasoning of like streamlining that process.
Yep.
So it's faster.
Yeah, I do like the aspect of allowing you to like model something that might not exist. Like previously, it would have been okay. You have to have a sword or an axe or a fist, right?
Right.
So for my Space Marines that I've started work on, the guys that were inspired by my trip to Iceland.
Right. The not Emperor Spears.
They're not Emperor Spears. No. These are the Falling Stars. Dude's got a power spear.
Yeah, which I think is great. Like I think
it's a mastercrafted power weapon.
Yep, and I saw people making. I saw a guy who did Emperor Spears, and he gave them all tridents.
Right.
So he has them all. They're supposed to be like this with a power sword or whatever, and he like recasts it so they have like tridents. And I was like, they look great. Now again, in the old rules, it's like, okay, what does that count as?
Yeah, for sure. Well,
so
previously I would have just said it was like a power sword, but
yeah,
somebody was always going to go, I don't know. Here's a chaplain conversion I'm working on.
Nice.
Yep.
Very good. I like it.
So, cool. And the other thing that Jim's worried about, that Jim is excited about, he's got cutting bloat and looking at it as a great basis for future editions.
Yep.
So I think, you can definitely get a few editions out of this. And he loves the no troop tax.
Yeah, I mean, like, Hank just jumped on.
I'm stupid.
What?
There we go. I just realized, of course, I was holding that up to the tiny, tiny camera.
Oh, yeah, it's the teeny screen.
Teeny screen.
So, like, Hank just jumped on, and when we were at Adepticon last year, I got a chance to talk to the two lead designers for 10th edition.
Yep.
And, you know, we talked a lot, and I said, look, the biggest thing I would say is having played every edition and having worked for the company for the launch of, I think, 5 different editions, I think this is the first time that it felt like they had completely redesigned how the game was laid out, so that if they want to make changes and layer stuff on, I think as long as the foundation is good, I think that'll work.
Right.
I think the problem that you ran into with 7th was the biggest offender of this.
Yep.
But then, my eyes are not that good. Yeah, nobody's eyes are that good. But like the 7th edition, I think, suffered from this the most, and then 8th a little bit, and then 9th got it again, was the fact that they were like, here's the system we're trying to do. Oh, wait, we're going to add this on. Oh, wait, we're going to add this on. And it turned into like this Jenga pile of rules that just got really out of control. And I think with them trying to strip down 10th and really make it straightforward and much more direct, I think that if they tweak stuff down the road and add stuff, I think that because the way the game is designed, I think that has a much better chance of keeping away the rules bloat.
Yep. One of the things that they don't have to, if they want to add something to it, they don't have to add it to everything that exists, because they've created that encapsulated like army rule, detachment stratagems. They can create they can keep the army rule the same and create a new detachment rule and detachment stratagems, but they don't have to cross over.
Right.
You don't have to have them both in together, which is what they would have done before. They just would have piled those on until you've got a grab bag of 60 stratagems.
Yeah, I mean, we've started that before. Like, one of the big sort of like rules philosophies in the last 3 editions was specificity. And the general consensus was, or the leadership consensus was, if people are confused by this rule, it's because we're not being specific enough. So then they put out like a 17-page FAQ to explain what is essentially a paragraph in the rule book.
Yep.
And it was like, no, I think people are getting confused because there's too much going on. Like, there's too many plates spinning in this edition.
Yep.
And they were like, no. And every time that got brought up, they were like, no, we need to drill down and get more specific. And it's like, that's not the problem. It's that there's so many things that I have to be aware of. Like, in 40K, it's like, I should be able to know the basic rules and how my army works with those rules. For 7th edition,
8th a lot and most of 9th, it was like, not only do I have to know that, I have to know all the stratagems that exist. I have to know how your army works. I have to know how my army interacts with your army, and how your stratagems or ploys or whatever could impact the way that my army might function. Which I was like, that's just too much to remember. And then they're like, oh, and we added this 17-page FAQ for that one paragraph. I'm like, I already have enough to worry about. Like, I don't want to have to worry about that. And in 10th, it doesn't feel like that. 10th is like, what do I want my army to do? I'm going to have my army built that way so it can do it.
Yep.
Cool. Like, that's... I like that. So
for sure. Yes, as Carl says, while I agree, my concern here is that 8th and 9th edition was supposed to solve the rules bloat of 7th. By the time we got to the end of 9th, I was asking, how did we get here again? Hope lessons were learned. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
No, I think the lessons were learned. Again, talking to those two designers, like because I brought that up to them. I said, you know, when 8th came out, they had reset everything. Because when 8th first got launched, I loved it. I was like, oh, this is great. And then they just kept layering stuff onto it. And they were like, yeah, I think and then 9th, they kind of ran into the same problem. And I think with 10th, their new mindset is, how do we keep the game straightforward and direct and relatively balanced and brief in terms of like the core rules?
Yep.
And I think that they've done that. I don't think that, I think they'll probably layer stuff on into Dave's point. I think when the codexes come out, you'll get some new stuff, and I think they'll add points back in. But I think that they are still, I think the new sort of watchword for this edition is they're trying to keep it kind of stripped down and like well designed and low to the ground.
Yep.
They don't want to have it turn into this big towering pile of like rules and special things and FAQs and updates. Like I don't think they want to do that again.
Yep.
So
yeah. Jim said there.
James nailed it. James nailed it. That's perfect.
Buffs and auras stacking. Buffs, auras, and stacking. Yeah. I think the way that a lot of those work now is where your character affects the unit that they're with, but you can't put another character with that unit to stack anything. You have to make a choice. It's one or the other.
Yep.
So.
And there's a couple of weird exceptions, like you can add a lieutenant to any army. He does not count as the hero that's attached.
Yep.
And then I think you can do the same with like an apothecary. I think you can add an apothecary, and he doesn't count as like the, unless it's like a special character, like in the if I run Corbulo, he's a named sanguinary priest.
Yep.
But if you just put an apothecary with a unit, like you can do that. So you could have, you know, a 10-man squad, add a lieutenant, add an apothecary, and then add a captain, and you're like, cool, they're done. Like that's the whole unit. So
yeah, exactly. Cool. Noticed up there, Sean Gleason said that he played Tau. I thought we'll show this picture of from Chris Gorka. It was a
his alternate print Farsight.
Yep. So looking pretty cool there. Definitely nice. We will skip over those two because I just noticed the time. We're having a lot of fun, obviously.
His feet look weird, but I like them.
And there we go. So before we go too much further, so Dave Hummel also commented, and as we know, Dave has a huge Space Marine collection, absolutely massive.
It could be bigger.
Keeps getting bigger. He's working towards a entire chapter, the Shadowhawks. So, with the recent announcement that certain units were being pulled from sale, and that they probably won't show up in the Codex that's coming soon. However, they do already have data slate cards, whatever they're called, data cards, for them. So you can still use them in the game as they are right now. A lot of those units, though, could also be used. Like if you've got a land speeder, you could sub that in. You could use that as a proxy for another type of land speeder that is in the list that is still going to be available. I think I would like to do it. If you had a land speeder Typhoon, sure.
Yeah, if you're playing a friendly crew, like I don't think anybody's going to give you a hard time about proxying and stuff. But
yeah,
the big one that I like is the fact that I like that they're letting people know now
Right.
Because like you can still get most of it. Like they still have to sell through all the production run. Any stores that have already stocked it already have that stuff. Like we just got in 3 boxes of tactical squads.
Well, I don't think tactical squads are going.
No, I don't think so either. But stuff like that. If you were like, oh, I want to get my hands on, a Typhoon land speeder, it's like they're still out there. You can still get them. It's not like they're impossible to get now. I think the GW is just looking at the, what models have we not sold a lot of over the last 5 years.
Yep. The what I was going to say. Yeah, at the moment, like the regular firstborn Marines stat line is like move of 6, weapon skill 3, strength 4, 2 wounds, or toughness 4, 2 wounds, and
because there's no more Primaris keyword. They're just Marines.
Yeah. It's the same, same as the Primaris and the first one. They're the same line, so you can switch them in a lot of places, which is good. I like that, and I'm glad also that Dave was able to get a whole bunch of those kits, so he's going to be able to finish off his chapter. But he's doing a chapter build plus 2 companies of Primaris, 2-ish.
Yeah. I'm assuming that they are not a Codex chapter since they have 12 companies.
Well, I mean, now in these dark times of the Imperium Nihilus and the Great,
it's all good. I'm
Rift.
just saying they're just not a Codex chapter.
Yeah, that's fine.
They're not Codex adherents.
Well, maybe the Codex has flexed a little bit when Bobby G sent out the 2 companies of Primaris to.
He's alive now. Maybe he's working on a new book. You don't know.
Yeah, for sure. He's about to do a tour.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's have a quick run through a bunch of the other cool models from the group this week. We've got another one here from Chris Gorka. So this is one of the Creature Caster.
Oh, that Demon Prince thing?
Yeah, I think this is like a greater demon sort of size. So
I think it's supposed to be a Keeper of Secrets, I think.
I believe you are correct. It definitely has that that feel. Enhanced by the purple paint job.
Yep.
But yeah, looking super cool there, Chris. Very nice.
It looks like a big demonette, which is cool. Like it has like the pinchy claws and like the
does have a bit of that Juan Diaz kind of feel.
Yeah.
To it.
Those are the best demonettes they've ever had. Are the Juan Diaz ones? They are the best ones.
Yeah. Excellent. Then oh my goodness, I feel terrible. I've just
those are the metal ones, right? The ones that had like the lobster claws.
The Juan Diaz, yeah.
They were the metal ones. They were the last metal ones. Those ones are great. They have like the random horns and they have like the snake hair.
Yep.
Yeah, those ones are awesome.
Cool. Sorry, I'm just going to I just completely spaced on
Cal Jericho.
Cal Jericho, yep.
Fabrice did a pretty good job. Cal Jericho is supposed to be a brunette.
Yeah?
Like, even look at the picture. So his hair is like, it's like Han Solo, like sandy brown.
Right.
And they highlight it with the blonde.
Yeah. It's definitely got the blonde.
It's okay. I'll let it slide. I mean,
Fabrice is so that was that's Fabrice. Fabrice did that.
Yeah, that's Fabrice.
Yeah,
Cal Jericho's great. People are like, who's Cal Jericho? I was like, he's Warhammer 40K's Han Solo is what he is.
For sure. I used those his 2 pistols on a conversion that I did recently of the Hexbane's Hunters.
You could have just used Cal Jericho.
Well, I'd already used the body for a different model.
Oh, nice.
Elsewhere. I can't remember where.
Yeah, there's a ton of great models in the Necromunda line.
Yep.
We just ordered all the Palatine Enforcer stuff. So we got the Enforcers in with the shields.
Yep.
We got in the Palatine, the robots. They're like weird, like...
Yeah. The breaches.
I mean, they're all Judge Red, so it's like the ABC War Robots is what they are. I picked up some ambots. I love the ambots. But that whole line has some just awesome stuff in it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're super cool.
You should get some of the squat prospectors.
Oh, I want to get the new one, the claim jumper. And
he's great.
Yeah, I'm going to turn him into a Brockier Ironmaster.
Can't you? Doesn't he have stats you can run him with a Votan army?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I know well, at least in 9th, the prospectors, because they're a Necromunda unit, they come with a data card, so you can run them with Leagues of Votan.
Oh, all right.
Because they're squats.
Yeah.
Because the idea is they're kind of like they're doing their own thing, but you can run them with Votan. Okay. And I was like, that's awesome.
I'll have to check that out.
It's Grimdark Batman.
It is, absolutely. And it looks fantastic. They're having to slain some Dark Angels.
Yeah, that's Jeff Smith's work, I believe.
Yeah, it is Jeff Smith's Conrad Kurz. The Night Haunter.
At some point, I'm going to buy this model. I want to convert him into a Blood Dragon, like a Vampire Lord.
Oh, yeah, okay. That would be cool.
I've seen 2 different versions that use him, and I was like, it's such a great model for that.
Yeah, yep. He would be fantastic, particularly on that base. That base is super vampiric. But yeah,
I was gonna. So my plan is to get him.
Yep.
And then get the what's the zombie dragon on? What is that, like a 120 mil?
Oh, zombie dragon? I thought it was 170. I thought it was. Yeah, I think it's a full size.
It's 170. So
Dragon Knight.
So my plan is to take that base.
Yep.
And then mount this on it, and then take the dragon graveyard.
Okay.
From Gale Force 9, and have that on the base.
Okay.
So it's like he's summoning the zombie dragon.
Cool. Yeah,
I thought that'd be neat.
That would be cool. I look forward to seeing it.
It'll be fun. But this model's great.
Yeah,
I think he's such a rad.
Jeff did an awesome job. Jeff also posted this, his Hulk and Hulkbuster from Marvel Crisis Protocol. They just look fantastic. It's an excellent job on
Good old Jeff. Good old Jeff, chipping away.
Yep. Nice work, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, I love the Hulkbuster armor. It's so cool.
Yep. Definitely cool. Looks awesome. Next up. Next up we've got some more. Another photo from John Schaefer. He painted up some models for his Maggotkin of Nurgle army. So he took the Tarantulas brood from Warcry and converted them into Rotmire Creed from Warcry. But to basically feed that Rotmire Creed into his Maggotkin of Nurgle. The Nurgle mortals for Age of Sigmar. Yeah,
it's the big thing is that it's the purple. I love that purple he did. It looks so cool.
Yeah, it's a really nice sort of deep plum color.
And like the browns look really good, like on their weapons and stuff, and like the browns and the brass, and then like the green trim. Like it's a really, really nice paint scheme.
Yeah, beautiful scheme there. Awesome work, John. Looks great.
James says the fact that Cal Jarko doesn't have a Warhammer Plus animated show is a travesty. I 100% agree.
totally agree.
Hugely missed opportunity.
Yep. Next up, we've got Kelly Rowe. Kelly painted up these Sentinels for Marvel Crisis Protocol, and they look absolutely fantastic. He's done an excellent job here. And I also love the my mind's gone. The apartment building that Kelly's done behind there.
Yeah,
just looks great with that with the mortar in there. But yeah, I love the highlighting of the volumes and that sort of thing with the Sentinels. Awesome.
Yeah, so the two on the sides are the Sentinels, and the one with the triangle chest plate and the stripe on his helmet, that's a Sentinel Prime.
Okay.
So when you buy them, the Sentinel Prime comes in one box, and then the two Sentinels come in another box.
Okay, right here.
But they're awesome kits. And I mean they're probably like greater demon size.
Oh wow. Okay. Or at least the Prime is, right?
Yeah, he's only a little bit taller than the other guys.
Okay.
Like they're like, I would say they're probably the same like size as like a Redemptor, but they're taller than a Redemptor. So they're like I said, they're probably like they're probably like Bloodthirster size. Like if you took like the Corn Bloodthirster that's jumping, they're probably about the same size as him.
Right. Okay. That's crazy. Yeah, that looked great.
Yeah, they're really nice model kits.
Awesome work, Kelly. Next up, we've got Sean Gleason with some more work in progress on his Eidolon of Mathlan.
Yeah, I love it.
From the Eidolon of Deepkin. So a little bit more intensity in the colors here in the dripping cloak, which looks fantastic.
So good.
Beautiful work there.
I see he's got a direwolf in the background too.
Oh yeah, for AT.
That's the Warhound alternate model.
Yep. No, very cool. And Sean also posted this work in progress, and so it's from the Lumineth Realm Lords. I do not know the name of the model. Do you know what that one is, Jake? I was going to say it looks like a spellcaster, but they all look like spellcasters, really. Yep.
I don't remember. It's probably like a something shrine caller or something. Like a, you know, I mean,
just summons the shrines to you. The floating shrines, right?
GW is all about like, how do we make this into a proper noun? It's like, what does he look like he's doing?
That could be. It could be. But I think he's looking great there, Sean. I love the intensity of the orange there and that little pop in on the staff.
I'll pull up Games Workshop. Let's see.
Yeah, so you can find out what it is. That would be great.
Oh, that's bright. All right, let's see.
You gotta remember the white background from the GW.
Yeah, dude, it's the worst.
You need to either turn down the intensity of your monitor or get some sunglasses whenever you.
Yeah, seriously. All right, Lumineth Realm Lords.
Yep.
That is the Cenari Enlightener.
Cenari Enlightener. There we go. Excellent. Great work there, Sean. And next up, we've got Stephen Ryder, with the finished painted version of the Squat Colossus from Epic back in the day. So absolutely beautiful job. Lots of great detailing on there. I love those Katyusha missile racks.
What year is it?
On the side there.
What year is this? Is it like 1996? Like what's happening?
92.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I think this model is probably from 91 or 92.
Awesome.
Yep. Definitely so. But, yeah, beautiful work on that one, Stephen. And...
You know, like on the back, it has the little landing pad for the squat gyrocopter.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely super cool. And his... the other post that he made included shots of these guys. So, I'm not sure if Jeff is in the chat, but I'm sure he'll be enjoying seeing these 6mm epic squat bikers.
He was in earlier. I don't know if he still is, but
yeah. But yeah, beautiful job there by Stephen on those. Obviously, he's getting excited for Epic coming up later in the year. Well, Legions Imperialis, which won't have any squats in it, but I'm sure there'll be things he'll be able to proxy. Solar Auxilia, maybe. Yep.
I mean, a lot of their stats were actually closer to Space Marines. They were just slower.
Right. You can run them as that. Run these guys as Outriders. But, yeah. Very cool. Looking great. I love that, again, that classic squat color scheme. The green, the padded red armor, the yellow hats. Looking great. Okay.
When you get your squad of squat prospectors, you got to paint them that way.
Just quickly, I'm gonna bring these up. I'm not sure, folks may have seen them on the Facebook group. Maybe not. Let me find them. I mentioned, was it 2 weeks ago? I was talking about Hexbane's Hunters and the the Gore Chosen of Drom.
Yep.
So I've got those, and I've got the Gnarlwood box he sent me. So I've got the Gnarl Spirit pack, but here are the converted Hexbane's Hunters. So super excited about having those done. I've got them sitting up on the wall behind me.
So what are you using them for? Are you running them as like an inquisitorial warband, or?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. There'll be a purpose that comes, something that comes along where I get to go, oh, I need an inquisitorial warband with these types of characters. I think it'd be good.
Pretty rad.
So the big guy at the back, I've been listening to Pariah, the first book in the Beckwin trilogy by Dan Abnett. And
awesome.
Harlan Nail is one of the characters who comes back from, he's in the Eisenhorn books and the Ravener books as well.
He's the best. Harlan Nail is the best character.
Yeah, and just as he was being described in Pariah, I was just like, oh, yeah, that guy from the Hexbane's Hunters would be almost perfect for a similar kind of feel.
Yeah.
The big beefy,
Backbite.
Yeah, big guy, but not overly big, not Space Marine big. But yeah, he looks great. He had like a bandolier with a lot of stakes, wooden stakes in there, and so I decided to cut those down, trim them down, so that they look like grenades. So
nice.
That's why he's carrying the grenade launcher. He's got a grenade launcher on a strap in his right hand there, so I can just reload.
And then the girl on the left. The girl on the left is where that's Cal Jericho's pistols, right?
That's correct. Yep. She used to have like a pepper box, or pepper shot pistol, and an axe.
Yep.
So I cut those both out and replaced them with the Cal Jericho's pistols. And then the one on the right has got this really weird beaten metal armor, and has a crossbow with like little grenades attached. So I just I added a backpack with some more grenades and a melter bomb and that sort of thing. So that one's going to be the sort of the sniper grenade specialist. Sniper.
Are you going to paint these up Blanchitsu style?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. The two,
that's a John Blanche warband if ever I've seen one.
Yep. The two mastiffs at the front, I did painted those up for Game Trade magazine for the Painting Happy Little Minis article in Game Trade magazine. So,
nice.
But they were really quick and easy to paint up. A lot of fun. And then Hexbane himself, I just added that servo skull and a rebreather on his back. That's it. So.
And you put them on one of the tech bases.
Yeah, they're all on either the Necromunda bases or the Void War bases.
Yeah.
And they're all the same size, so 28mm or 32mm for the bigger ones and 25s for the dogs. But yeah, that's my other bit of little 40k adjacent fun.
They look good.
But anyway, there we go. I think we covered some of the cool points, interesting points, things that we're excited about, things that we're concerned about, things that we're interested to see how they play out. Have we made the right predictions? Will there be variable points? Will there be free upgrades all the way through 10th? Who knows?
It seems like across the board, people are much more receptive and hopeful to this edition.
Yep.
And I think because they've kind of changed the design philosophy this time, I think that we're going to continue to see like more great things for this edition. They would have to work really, really hard and backtrack to offset the good landing that they've done. So
yeah, let's not say it has never happened before, but let's cross our fingers that it won't happen again.
I'm not saying. I'm saying they'd have to work very hard to do that.
They would. So, but I think overall, you and I are both quite happy. You're excited?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Oh, Hank says we're going to need them for that spray team Necromunda weekend. Need to talk with you about that that heck.
Nice.
Excellent. But yes, that's brought us to the end of another show. We're at 1 hour and 40 minutes. How about that?
Oh, right on time.
Yeah.
So just so everybody knows, thank you guys for joining us as always. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. Get all your friends to do it too. We're trying to drive our subscription numbers up so we can get some more sponsors and do some more cool stuff. But next week we have a really good surprise. I don't want to step on Dave's announcement because Dave pulled this off, not me. So. Who do you want to tell people who our special guest is next week?
Special guest next week is Victoria Lamb from Victoria Miniatures. We are super excited. It's going to be Wednesday morning for her, so she'll be there with a cup of coffee, waking up and talking to us for 1 hour and 40 minutes about sculpting, about casting, about resin, about Ceocast, about working with a bunch of different cool people around the world, and we'll also, of course, talk about her Kickstarter, which is running at the moment. There's a link down in the notes below. We are not sponsored by Victoria Miniatures. We're just doing that because not yet. No, we're just letting you know because Vic's super cool, and you should go and check out her Project Warhorse Kickstarter, which is running at the moment. So yeah, we're very excited. It's going to be super cool. Just quickly, Sean says, anyone going to Nova? I will be at Nova. I'll be coordinating the judging team for the Capital Palette. Jake's a maybe.
Maybe.
I think hopefully we'll have a bunch of folks coming along. But yeah, it promises to be a very cool show. It's their first show in the new venue. So they're going to be... No doubt there'll be a few sort of teething issues here and there, but I think they've got a great team, and I'm excited to see what they do with it. Oh, yep, you have to make sure you're on, Patrick, so you and Vic can discuss sculpting. Should be super cool. But yep, that's next week, next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Summertime, Eastern Daylight Time.
It'll be a big one.
Whatever it happens to be. It will be a big one, and we're very excited. So, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. As Jake said, like, subscribe, bell, all the fun bits. And we will see you next week. And, of course, in the meantime, don't forget to build, paint, play. Oh, my goodness, you're the worst. You are the worst.
Well, I'm looking at you for the cue, and I'm
Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.